Numbers are the lifeblood of any business, but decoding financial statements and managing GST complaints can feel like solving a complex puzzle. Wouldn't it be great to have a tool that simplifies the process? Introducing talyprime, your one-stop solution for effortless business accounting. This video dives into essential concepts like recording, classifying, and summarizing your finances, including GST. We will explore how talyprime streamlines these processes, from installation and setup to key features that can be customized for your specific needs. So, why we require this tally? Okay, so in tally we have so many versions, and we are going to use for accounting and financial purpose, for our financial reports, and other purpose we are using the tally for, like small companies, big companies, or medium scale companies. They are also using this tally, correct? So we are going to learn the software tally and how to work with a tally, or how to use the tally, and what are the basic concepts we require to use tally in our organization, that we are going to learn. Okay, so let's start with the agenda points. So in this session, we are going to discuss about the first one is the basics of accounting. That is the basic terminologies or basic concepts of accounting we are going to discuss. And I will tell you why we require this basics of accounting in tally. Okay. Next, we are going to discuss about the branches of accounting. Either we call it as branches or types of accounting or various kinds of accounting we have. That we are going to discuss. And next we are going to discuss about the GST, that is your goods and service tax. Why we require this GST in tally? Because we need to give some input to tally also. Because it is a software, we need to give some inputs, then only we can get the accurate financial reports or accurate data of the organization. Okay, so then we are going to discuss about the introduction to tally. Okay, then we are going to start with the features of tally, purpose of tally software we are going to use in the organization, and the steps to install tally in our system. And the last one we are going to discuss about the hands-on part. So how practically we can use tally in the software, that also we are going to discuss. So these are the few topics we are going to cover in this tally course. So the first we have already discussed, that we are going to discuss the basic accounting or the basic concepts of accounting we are going to discuss, correct? So in that first one, in the accounting, bookkeeping. The bookkeeping is also called as the primary entry of books or primary entry of a record of all the transaction. Okay, so it is the art of recording business transaction in the books of accounts in an orderly manner. So in the organization, so in a day, they are going to do so many transactions or so many activities or tasks, correct? So each and every task or activities or the transaction in terms of money, we can easily value the transaction in terms of money that they are need to record in their primary books or primary books of accounts. We call it as bookkeeping. So all the transaction they need to record. Why we need to record this transaction? Because if we want to do like any financial statements, we require this transaction. From this transaction only we are going to start all the books of accounts. Like in tally also, if we have this transaction or the bookkeeping records, that we need to give as a input to tally. Okay, because we need to give what is the transaction, whether it may be asset purchase or asset sold, or goods purchase, goods sold, or we are going to expenses, that is we are going to pay expenses like printing and stationery or any other postages, telegrams, fuel, coal, gas, for other expenses we are going to pay. So all those transactions, it is very, very important to give as an input to any software, correct? So that is the reason we require this bookkeeping. The definition of bookkeeping is, it is the science and art of correctly recording in the books of accounts all those business transactions that result in the transfer of money or money's worth. But the transaction should be valued in terms of money only. Whether we are going to give money or we are going to give equals to the money. For example, if we are going to purchase some X product from the other business or other organization, on that time they required our goods. whatever we are going to produce in our organization. On that time, what we are going to do, whatever the value of that X product and our product, we are going to compare. For their one product, we are going to give two products, or for their two products, we are going to give one product of our organization. So that is money's worth. So this is the bookkeeping and the meaning and definition of bookkeeping, and what is the use of recording this bookkeeping, and this is the very important for giving as an input for Tally software. Because if you are not given proper input, then you are not going to get the accurate financial statements or accurate financial reports from the Tally software. So bookkeeping is very important role in the Tally software also. We are going to use this word accounting or accounts. Correct? So what do you mean by this accounting first? So according to American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, that is AICPA, accounting is the art of recording, classifying and summarizing in a significant manner in terms of money, transaction and events which are in part at least of financial character and interpreting the results thereof. So the first word, that is the art. Okay, we need to record in a manner that whatever the accounting standards we have. I think so you heard the word GAAP, GAAP, generally accepted accounting standards or accounting practice we call it as. So we are going to maintain our books as per the accounting standards. Okay, if for example, if you don't have or if you are not following the GAAP rules and regulations or standards, then I'm going to record in my own way, or X person will going to record in other way, or other organization they are going to record in their own ways. So on that time, the differentiation will be there, correct? So that is the reason all the companies, they needs to maintain their books of accounts in the same standard or in the same procedures. That is the art of recording. What we are going to record first thing. So earlier we have already discussed, right? The bookkeeping or all the transaction we are going to record in our books of accounts. That is the recording. If we miss one recording or one transaction of any activity, if we missed, okay, then our final output or the final financial report, that will not accurate. Correct? So that is the reason it is an art of recording and classifying. What we are going to classify? We are going to classify as a cash flow statement, fund flow statement, income statement and assets and liabilities. So all the transaction we are going to classify it into this category, whether it is an asset or it may be a liability, or it is a current assets, current liability, long-term debt, or it is a capital. So all those things we are going to divide, correct? So that is called classifying. Next, we are going to summarize. Summarizing is nothing but we are going to post it to the particular or the correct books of accounts only. Okay. For example, the purchase of raw material. If you are going to mention in the sales account, that is wrong, because we need to mention in the purchase of whatever the X company or with the whatever the person we are going to purchase in their individual ledger account we need to maintain first. Then we are going to maintain at a sales account, correct? So like that we need to summarize all this significant manner and in terms of money. So each transaction we need to mention or we need to record in terms of monies or money's worth. Because if we purchase raw material, what is the worth of that raw material? We need to measure in terms of money only. So that we need to mention in the books of accounts. And all the transaction and the events which are in part at least. So whatever the part of our organizational activity that we need to record. That is must and should. Then a financial character. So the whatever the value or the money we are going to record the transaction, and it should be interpret. So we need to give the interpretation for like in a quarterly wise or yearly wise or half yearly wise, we need to give the interpretation for the particular books of account, whether it may be a profit and loss account, income statement or your balance sheet, we need to give the interpretation. So if for example, for last year and for this year, the current assets were increased or current liabilities was decreased, fixed assets was increased. What is the reason? Why it is increasing from the last year or from the last quarter? That interpretation should be there in the books of accounts. Next, the process of accounting. Just we have discussed about the definition. As per the AICPA, we have discussed the meaning on definition of accounting, correct? So what is the process they are going to follow in the accounting? So first one, classification into assets, liabilities, capital, revenue, and expenses. So these are the broadly 5 categories of accounts we have. So whatever the transaction or whatever the recording we are going to do, we are going to classify as this 5 categories. First one, as an assets. So which is owned to that organization. If for example, you are the company or you are the proprietor, then which is your company, for that you have owned that asset or own that property, then we call it as an asset to that organization. Next, liabilities. Liabilities is nothing but what we owe to others. That is not your money. You are going to take from others. For example, bank loan, or you are going to take as a debenture. Okay, you are going to issue debt certificate and you are going to collect the money, or you are going to take the third party's money, that is as a loan. Okay, all this money is not yours, but you have taken from others, that you need to repay along with whatever the interest rate you have fixed or the contract is there. According to that, you need to pay the interest also. That is called liabilities. Next, the capital. Capital is nothing but it may be the owner's complete amount he has invested in his organization, or he is going to collect money from all the investor who is going to ready to invest their money in that particular organization. They are called as investors, correct? So they are going to collect the or pool of money from all the investors. He is going to invest in his organization, or he is going to utilize that money in his organization as a capital. Then we call it as capital, whether it may be a proprietor own money or it may be from the collected from the investors. That is called capital. Next, the revenue. Revenue is nothing but the income or the profit we are going to get for that particular organization. For example, they have sold goods. Okay, the company is going to sold goods of 10,000 rupees, but they have spent for producing that product is 5,000 rupees. So they have produced it for 5,000 and they have sell it for 10,000 rupees. So the 5,000 remaining 5,000 is there, right? So that is called revenue, or we call it as profit to that organization. So whatever the revenue, interest received, dividend received, or rent received, or you are going to get any income of selling the assets. Okay, all those things will comes under the revenue. At the end, expenses. Expenses is nothing but the money spent for our day-to-day activity. That is your for printing and stationery, or for coffee or any other snacks, food items. For that you are going to spend money, or you are going to give salary or wages or transportation expenses. All those things will consider as a expenses for the organization. So these are the 5 broadly classified categories of accounting. Okay, whatever the transaction is there, we need to divide or we need to classify for these 5 categories. Preparation of income statement. So income statement is nothing but it is a account that we are going to maintain all our income at the left hand side of our books of account, and the expenses or the whatever the amount we are going to spend, okay, that we are going to maintain at the right side of the accounts. So all incomes left side, all expenses right side we are going to maintain, and we are going to get the whatever the balances left side or right side, that we are going to take from the income statement. Next, we are going to give the communication of results. So whatever the profit we have or whatever the loss we have, that we are going to communicate. And the last point, identification of accounting transaction which have documentary evidence. So in this books of account, the main thing is for each and every transaction, whether we have the supporting document or not, or each transaction is backed by any evidence, that is your voucher or bill or any supporting document, it is there or not. If it is there, then only they are going to consider the transaction as a valid transaction. Otherwise, they are going to reject the transaction, because each and every activity we are going to do in the organization or the transaction, for that we need to give or we need to support it by the documents only. Next, the functions of accounting. So what are the different functions of accountings are there? So if you use the accounting software, that is your Tally, if you are going to use, what are the functions it's going to do? So first one, recording. So in the Tally software, the first thing we need to do this recording of all the transaction. In the Tally, first we need to give the input, correct? So for giving that input, we need to record all the transaction, correct? And then what we are going to do, we need to classify the transaction into 5 categories. That is your assets, liability, capital, revenue and expenses, correct? So that software only will take care of which is the assets, liabilities. When we giving the inputs only, we need to give whether it may be an asset, it may be liability or the capital or the revenue or the expenses that we need to give before we give for the input. So there is no need to classify the transaction into categories by the tally. So next, the summarizing. So as per the whatever the inputs we are given, and already we have given some mandate of like what is the depreciation percentage, how the we are going to maintain books of accounts, everything we need to give as an input, correct? So according to that, it's going to summarize the transaction, whatever we have given. And we are going to analyze the transaction. In the manual books of accounts, what we are going to do, the accounting manager or the whatever the frontline manager or metrics member or the auditor, they are going to analyze the each and every books of accounts, whether where we are lagging or where we have the sufficient funds or where we can get the sources of funds for our organization. All those things will be, we need to analyze in the organization. But in the tally, so it will analyze all the transaction and it will give the report. Okay, that is the one big feature of tally. Next, the interpretation. In manual entry, we need to give the interpretation. So what is the reason why we are lacking in the sales for this quarter, or how to overcome from that whatever the low sales to high sales. All those things we need to give the interpretation. And the last one, we are going to communicating. So communicating to metrics member or to the managers. Okay, we are going to give this communication, correct? So in the tally, the final, whatever the transaction are done, classified, summarized, recording, everything. Okay, after analyzing, it will give the report. Whatever the interpretation done by the tally as per the transaction, that will give the reports to that whoever the authority is there. So they can easily go and he can download that report and he can work on that whatever the lacks are there or whatever the deficits are there or where they have the very good stability in their organizational activity, that they can easily get to know from this tally softwares. So next, we are going to discuss about the branches of accounting. So we call it as branch or we call it as types of different accountings. Okay. So why we require this to study in this course? Okay. So because manually we need to give all these inputs to the tally. Once you download the tally or install the tally, so as per your organizational standard. So if for example, I am running a sole trading concern. So as per my company, what is the turnover limit or what is the accounting type we are going to maintain? Okay, or it may be a partnership company. Their books of accounts little bit vary will be there, correct? And if it comes to joint stock company or MNCs, they are going to maintain in their own ways, correct? So on that time, we need to give the inputs to the tally software also. So on that time, this branches of accounting is also useful for the who is going to learn these softwares or who is going to use this software for their organization. So these are the basic things they need to know about the branches or the types of accounting also. So let's begin with the branches of accounting. So first one, financial accounting. So what do you mean by this financial accounting? The word only indicates finance. Finance is nothing but the cash or the money transaction we are going to do in the organization. So usually the first step of the books of account is the bookkeeping, or we are going to record the transaction in the books, correct? So that is the first transaction or first activity we are going to do. So from the bookkeeping to end with the financial statement or financial reports, that we call it as financial accounting. So all the transaction, it may be monies or money's worth we are going to record in our books of accounts. That will comes under this financial accounting. Whether you have invested your money in the organization or you are going to invest your money in some other organization or some investor or invested money in your organization, all those things will comes under the financial accounting. And in this financial accounting, we will get to know what is the gross profit, net profit, or the whatever the organization, the net worth, total net worth of the organization. All those things we are going to learn in this financial accounting. So this is very, very important type of accounting in the organization. And if you are giving the inputs to your software, that is the tally. So on that time also, make sure that which company yours or which sector you are belonging to, what is your turnover limit. Second one is accrual basis. So that we are going to maintain on the basis of credit. So these are the two types of accounts we are going to maintain, or we are going to maintain our books in the organization. So whether it may be a cash basis or accrual basis, that is also very, very important while we are giving the inputs to the Tally software. Next, the cost accounting. In the cost accounting, usually we are going to use this type of account for getting the what is the per unit cost. Okay, if for example, we are going to produce 10,000 products at 10,000 rupees. So that is the total cost of production is 10,000. What is the per cost then? What is the fixed overhead there, or fixed expenses is there, or how much is the variable expenses per unit? All those things will be count in this cost accounting. And if you are a manufacturing company, the almost all 40 to 50% you are going to based on this cost accounting only. Financial accounting is also there, but that is one part. The majorly we are going to deal with this cost accounting, because how much raw material we are going to purchase, how much we have used, how much in work in progress, how much finished goods were there, and what is our turnover ratio, how many days once we need to order the raw material from the organization or from the suppliers. All those things will be decided in this cost accounting. So while giving input to your Tally software, you need to mention how much is the credit repayment period we are going to allow, or the supplier, how much they are going to allow credit period for us to repay the money while we purchase the goods on the basis of credit, and how many days once we need to do the ordering of raw material or ancillary products, or how many days the work in progress will be there. So all this information you need to give it to the Tally software, because whatever the inputs you are going to give, based on that it's going to analyze and interpret the data of an organization or your reports, correct? So you need to thorough with these concepts, then you can give some inputs to the Tally software for your organization. Next, the management accounting. So management accounting is nothing but the managerial decision will be taken as per this whatever the record we are going to maintain in this type of accounting. So for example, so how much percentage you are going to give the dividend to your equity shareholder, that will comes in the financial accounting. Why? Because based on our profit we are going to decide. When it comes to management accounting, any changes in the HR policy or the organizational policy, or any bonus we plan to issue for our employees in the organization, or the money, extra money or the bonus money we are going to issue, or if you are increasing the OT, that is overtime expenses, or any food allowances, if you are going to giving to the your employees, then the management accounting, under that we are going to take this all this managerial decision. So individual managers or the frontline managers, they cannot take this decision. The metrics member or the management of that organization, okay, they need to take all this decision. On which basis they are going to take? So they are going to take this management accounting, and they are going to analyze the reports, how much we have the profit and how much we need to spend for our employees, for their benefits or fringe benefits, perquisites, any other things. So that decision, or if they are changing the process of the manufacturing, so whatever the flow of the manufacturing process will be there, if they are going to rechange or they are going to change in the organization, that is also they need to take in the management accounting. Or HR policies, if they are going to change for their employees, that is also under the management accounting only, they need to take all this decision. Next, the important thing is tax management, or we call it as tax accounting. So why we require this tax management or tax accounting? Okay, so if you are going to pay salary to your employees, okay, so you need to deduct the professional tax, that is 200 rupees you are going to deduct, and for your whatever the professional tax, after that you are going to deduct the TDS, tax deducted at source, because source is the salary, correct? So from that salary, if you are going to deduct the TDS, so for their tax purpose, for the employee's tax purpose, correct? That is, we call it as provisional for taxation, that you are going to deduct. For all those things, you need to have the better knowledge about this tax management in the organization. So how much we need to cut the TDS, how you are going to get to know how much salary is that person is drawing, and as per the tax slab rate, how much you need to pay tax after 1 year. That is for the next assessment year, how much you need to pay tax. all those things will be calculated, correct? So for that purpose, the Tally software, when we are going to give the inputs, this tax management or tax accounting is also very important for the organization to know about these different types of accounting. And the next one, the corporate accounting. So this is the new branch is added to our accounting or the branches of accounting. That is, if you are going for any mergers activity, or if you are going to amalgamate with the any other organization, or you are going to acquire some other company. So nowadays, if you look at the newspaper or in the whatever the news or magazines, so many companies are going for this acquisition, merger or amalgamation process, correct? Why they are going to go for this, whatever the mergers, acquisition or amalgamation? Because they are going to get the synergy. So additional benefits or extra benefits they are going to get. If for example, X and Y companies are there, the X company is also producing the same product, but the cost is very high. So here the X company is producing at the very less price and these people are producing for very more price. If they amalgamate or if they merge together, then what they can do? So this X company, they can amalgamate with the or merge with the Y company. They can also produce the whatever the number of products with the minimum of or minimal cost of production. And this Y is good at marketing that product. So they are spending very less amount for marketing. But X company is selling more expenses for selling their products. So on that time, this X company will get the synergy of selling techniques, that Y company is going to get the techniques of producing at a lesser price. So X company will get the whatever the marketing techniques or sales techniques are there from the Y company, they are going to get as a synergy. The X company is going to give their whatever the production process or flow of the products that they are going to give for the Y. That is the synergy for the Y company. So this is how they are going to do this mergers and acquisition. Or if for example acquisition, so the big companies, what they are going to do, they are going to purchase these small companies. For example, take as an automobile company. So if they want to produce one car, so all the whatever the inputs are required, they are not going to produce in their own manufacturing unit, correct? So for producing one car, they required glass items, they required leather, they required all this like painting they required, iron they required, everything they required, correct? So engine. So on that time, what they are going to do? So if the company have the very good sound in the financial position, then what they are going to do? They are going to purchase this ancillary service products companies only. They are going to acquire and then they are going to produce that whatever the automobile or whatever the car they are going to produce. That is also one scenario. Or else if you have the financially that company is stable and if they have the sufficient fund for acquiring the other company, then also these companies, big companies will go and acquire the small companies. And the last one is forensic accounting. So this is also new accounting or new type of accounting. So forensic accounting is nothing but this, they are going to use it for finding the errors or identify wherever they have done the mistransaction, intentionally or unintentionally. If you do intentionally, then we call it as window dressing. That is manipulation of books of accounts they are going to do, right? So where they have done and what is the amount they have varied from the actual one to whatever they have done the changes. So all those things will be found in the forensic accounting. So these are the 6 broadly classified branches of accounting we have. So all this information we need to give as an input to the Tally software. So we required all this basic knowledge of all these types of accounting, and then only we can give as per our organization whatever the limits or standards we have. For that we can give the input. Next, the golden rules of accounting. So this is the very important in our accounting. Whether you are going to use Tally software or you are going to manually enter all the transaction, you are going to maintain books of accounts or using any other software. These 3 golden rules is very important. First one is personal accounting. So personal account, that is debit is the receiver, credit is the giver. So if for example, if you are going to receive, okay, then it may be debit. Okay, why? Because as a person also we have classified into few categories, that is artificial person, natural persons. Okay, so if for example the proprietor is going to withdraw his money for his personal use, then it call it as drawings. Then for example Mr. X is the supplier of goods to our company. Then X account we are going to maintain as a personal account. So all these things will be there. And if it comes to real account, so all your assets and liabilities also will comes under the real account. So debit what comes in. For example, purchase of furniture for 10,000 rupees. So if you purchase the furniture for 10,000 rupees, debit what comes in. So for the organization, what is coming? The furniture is coming to the business, correct? So furniture account debit. 2. Credit what goes out. So if you are going to purchase the furniture, you are going to pay in the form of cash, correct? So cash is going out of the business. So on that time, what goes out that needs to be credited? That is, cash is going out of the business. So cash account is credited. And in the amount column also, debit side 10, credit side 10,000 you need to write. That is how we need to categorize the real account or personal account or the whatever the rules are there. And it comes to nominal account, debit all expenses and losses and credit all income and gain. As per the nominal account rule, all the expenses or losses are there that we need to debit. As per the nominal account, credit all our income, gain, profit that we are going to maintain in the credit side. Next, the process of accounting. So this is very, very important if you are going to do your accounts in the manual or you are going to use any software. So first, okay, we are going to start with the bookkeeping, that is the primary books of accounts. Then the transaction will be posted to the, or we are going to pass the journal entries. And then after journal entry, we are going to pass it to the ledger account, that we call it as posting to ledger account. Then we are going to create this trial balance, then the financial statement, that is your income statement, cash flow statement and balance sheet. So in manual, we are going to use or we are going to follow this process of accounting. If it comes to tally, okay, so in tally what we are going to do, so if we just give the input, that is a bookkeeping, whatever we have recorded the transaction, we need to give as an input. So it will only generate your journal entries, ledger account and trial balance. Then the financial report also it will make ready for you people. So there is no need to explain all these steps because nowadays in the software, okay, so each and every transaction it will be analyzed, it will be passed to journal, ledger, trial balance and the balance sheet with the interpretation of the report that will give by the tally software. So this is the process of accounting we are going to maintain in manually. In the accounting software also they are going to follow, but you can't see what is the next transaction or when next step we can't see. Just it will give the direct output whatever we have given as an input. So next we are going to discuss about the introduction to GST. That is your goods and service tax. So if you are a company, okay, leave it the individual person. If you are a company, then this GST will play a very, very, very important and crucial role in the organization. Because earlier days, we are going to pay so many taxes, that is sales tax, value added tax or central tax, excise duty, all those octroi. We usually in the inventory management, we use the word octroi also. So all these taxes were there, correct? But nowadays, we don't use all these taxes. Instead of all these taxes, we have replaced and we call it as GST. That is your goods and service tax, correct? So why it is required or why it is important to learn in the tally software? Because we need to give an input. So here also we have so many different types of GST rates will be there. So for each and every product and category, the GST rate will be changed, correct? So and the time of supply, place of supply, all those things will be mentioned. And you are going to learn these concepts also in this course. So reverse mechanism or ITC, that is your input tax credit. All those things, if you want to claim, so that need to maintain in your financial reports also, correct? So for that purpose, you need to learn this GST also and you can give as a proper input to the tally software. So just we'll look at the brief or the basic concepts of GST. Introduction to GST, that is your goods and service tax, is a comprehensive indirect tax levied on the supply of goods and services in many countries. So for individuals, as a consumer or a customer, so it is a indirect tax. Why? Because we are not paying directly to the government, correct? If for example, if I go to any hotel, I'm going to purchase some or I'm going to order some items. I'm going to pay whatever it may be 8%, 18% GST to the hotel shopkeeper. Correct? So I'm not going to pay to the directly to the government. So on that time, so that whoever is the owner for that hotel or for that organization is running. Okay. So that person needs to pay that money to the government on behalf of his customers. Correct? So on that time, whatever we have paid, so he needs to give the proper input to the tally software that how much percentage they are taking from these customers as a SGST and CGST. That is your state goods and service tax, central goods and service tax. Correct? So all this information, how you are going to give the input means you need to, or the organization who is going to give as an input to that software, they need to learn about the GST and the interest rates and the ITCs and other few concepts in the GST. GST is a consumption tax that is imposed on supply of goods and services. It's destination based tax, which means it is collected at the point of consumption. So I already given the example, correct? So if I'm going to take or if I'm going to order something in the hotel, then only I'm going to pay this whatever the 18%, 8%, 28% GST, correct? So that is the reason GST we call it as consumption based taxation. At the point of consumption only we are going to pay tax to the shopkeeper. So these are the few key terminologies we are going to use in the GST, and these few things, okay, so these terminologies we are going to give as an input to the tally softwares, because I will tell you one by one. So first one, very important, that input tax credit. If for example I am the manufacturing company, I am going to purchase the raw material from the other companies, correct? So it may be XYZ or ABC company. So from that ABC company, I'm going to purchase raw material, and that time I need to pay GST for that ABC company. So if I already paid tax to that ABC, again I need to pay government for this whatever the goods we are going to produce, correct? So on that time, how much GST you have paid for your supplier, okay? On that time, you can mention that amount or whatever the percentage you have paid for whatever the turnover, that you can mention in the GST report, and you can claim that money as a input tax credit from your GST or from our government. So that is the reason. So this input tax credit is also very important, because if you are not given proper input for the tally software, so instead of giving 10,000 rupees, if you given 5,000 rupees, so other 5,000 will be lost, correct? That is for 1 year. So if you are going to use the tally software for next few years, then whatever the inputs you have given, if it is wrong, then you are going to lose your money and you are not going to get the accurate report also, correct? So that is the reason you need to learn about these GST concepts also. Next, the threshold limits. Usually the GST council members, so they are going to give these threshold limits. But for your organization, so they are going to give threshold limits for overall all the organization or all the industries. But based on your industry or whatever the products and services you are going to produce, for that we have different like GST rates, different threshold limits. So for your tally software, you need to give the proper threshold limits. You need to fix. If you are not fix the proper threshold limits, then it may be given the wrong reports or wrong financial analysis or interpretation for your organization. So this threshold limits is also very important while giving the input for a GST return. Next, the reverse mechanism or reverse charge mechanism. So I have given the example of I'm going to purchase raw material from ABC. So on that time, usually what we are going to do, our company is going to pay to that ABC company whatever the GST percentage were there. If for example, that person is not registered under the GST. So then what we are going to do, whatever we have planned to pay as a GST percentage, that amount we are not going to pay for him. We are going to pay from our end to the government, because we have the GST number or we have already registered participant. So we need to pay money for the government instead of giving to other person. So that is called reverse charge mechanism. Next, GST, that is your goods and service tax identification number. So for all transaction or all the reports while you are going to generate or you are going to create, so on that time the GST number is also very important to give in the tally software, because all the transaction or all the books of accounts we are going to maintain with that identification numbers, the unique number. Why? Because if you are going to claim GST return, or if you are going to whatever the income tax for your employees, for all those things you require this GST number. Next, the supply. So how much goods you are going to supply, and from which place or which time you are going to supply, or which is the place of supply. All those things are very, very important for the calculating the accurate report or generating the proper reports. Next, taxable person, GST return. This is very, very important. So in GST return, we have from GST return 1 to GSTR 11. Okay, we have different categories of GST returns were there. So you need to mention which GST report will go to which one. GSTR 1 will give one criteria, GSTR 1A is going to give some other criteria. So which is feasible and which is required for your organization. That input is very, very important. And GST council members. So all the state finance minister with the heading by the central finance minister. That team we call it as GST council. So they are going to decide what is the GST rates for that particular state. Next, the place of supply. So from which place to which place you are going to supply the goods, and which is the starting place and which is the ending place. That is very, very important, because if you are going to send goods from Andhra Pradesh to Karnataka, then the Andhra Pradesh is one place of supply and you are going to reach that destination or goods to that Karnataka is the other place. So these two places we have different GSTs or GST rates. Then according to the which is the place of supply, for that they are going to charge the GST rates. That is very, very important. Next, the time of supply. So how many days? For example, in which financial year you have started this transaction and in which year you are going to end, and you are going to receive money from that particular person or from that particular organization. That is also very, very important. Next, types of GST, that is your central goods and service tax, states goods and service tax, union territory GST. So these are the few types of GSTs, and as per the whatever the industry you are belonging to and what is the percentage we are eligible to charge for that particular product and services, that you can particularly you need to give the proper inputs in the Tally software. Otherwise, the count, or for example, instead of giving 8%, you have given 18%. So you have collected 8% from your customer, but you are paying government to 18%. So the remaining 10% is burden for the organization, correct? So on that time, they need to take care of all these things. Next, the GST interest rate, I've already told you. So we have 0%, 5%, 12%, 18% and 28%. So these are the few percentages are there, and for few goods and services, it is exempt also. So these are the few GST interest rates were there. And I already told you the input tax credit. So if you are going to get the refund from the government, whatever you are paid earlier or you are going to pay, instead of paying to the government, you paid some other person. On that time, you can get that refund from this input tax credit. So ITC is a fundamental concept of the GST, the system that allows registered business to claim a credit for the GST they have paid on their purchase and expenses. If, for example, the printing and stationery is a expenses, or you are going to pay money for your employees through the check or through the banking transaction. So for that, you are going to pay some tax, or whatever you are going to pay for your X supplier or Y supplier. For that, you need to pay GSTs. All these things will be taken and you can get as a refund from the government. For getting this ITC also, we have eligibilities. First, that is being a registered taxpayer under the GST. You need to be registered under the GST, and if you have the GST number, then only you are eligible to get the refund. Next, goods or services for business purpose. So for example, if you are going to purchase, I have already given the example, correct? So from the ABC company, I'm going to purchase the raw material. So for that raw material, I'm going to pay GST, correct? So that needs to be refunded. Why? Because you are paying for your expenses. Raw material you are going to invest, that is the expenses for the organization. We are purchasing that raw material. So on that time, for that you need to get the refund. So if you are going to purchase, then for all those things you have to maintain the documents. So in the accounting also I told you, so all the transaction will be backed by the supporting documents or from the evidence, correct? So here also you require the evidence. And if you are using that whatever the raw materials purchasing for your business purpose only. If you are going to purchase that whatever the raw materials and you are going to use for your personal purpose, then you cannot claim the input tax credit for that particular transactions. Next, possessing valid tax invoices and documents. So you need to produce all the whatever the proper documents or proper invoices or evidence you need to provide. Then only you can get the ITC. And the last one, for complying with GST laws and filling the returns. So for making the final report, GST reports, okay. So for that you required ITC criteria also. If you are getting the ITC, then whatever the as per the GST law you need to adhere and you need to obey for whatever the rules and regulations they have, and then you can get the filing of GST returns. So if you are getting the GST returns from the Tally software, okay, how much I need to pay for the government and how much refund I can get from the GST portal or from the government. So all those things will be generated in the Tally software only, but you need to give the proper inputs. So next we are going to discuss about the introduction to Tally. So before this we have discussed about the basic concepts of accounting, what are the branches of accounting, and the introduction to GST, input tax credit, all those things we have discussed, correct? So the main reason of discussing all these concepts, because we can give the proper input to Tally, so we can get the accurate reports or appropriate financial reports with the less or minimal error. So that is the reason we have learned all these basic concepts. So now we are going to learn about the Tally. So Tally is a popular accounting and financial management software. So widely used in businesses and individuals for managing their financial transaction and records. So usually in the earlier days, we are going to use the manual entries, correct? In the financial accounting, we need to use all this, whatever the managing our finance and whatever the reports or financial transaction, we are going to use the financial accounting. So now that will be replaced with the manual work. The Tally we are going to use, and this is very, very popular accounting software. And financial management also, we are going to find out what is the time value of money, future value of money, or what is the future cash flows, or forecasting the future data. All those things we are going to do manually. But through this accounting software, that is Tally, so we can get the whatever the forecast data, whether it may be a future value, present value, or present value annuity, future value annuity, all these things we can generate from this Tally software. It's not only for the business, as a individuals also. So the millionaires or few others also, they are going to use this Tally software for the managing or to manage their activities or financial transaction in their organization or their personal life. It is a design to streamline the automatic various accounting tasks, making it easier to maintain accurate and up-to-date financial records. So they have done the streamline of whatever the process of accounting we have seen, correct? So first is bookkeeping. From that bookkeeping transaction, we are going to pass the journal entry. From journal entry, we are going to post it to ledger account. From ledger account, we are going to prepare the trial balance. From trial balance, we are going to prepare all our financial reports or financial statements, correct? So in the Tally also, the process is set by inbuilt, and we are going to get the accurate and up to date. So till which date you are going to give the information. For example, at tomorrow, end of the day. So what is the last transaction you are going to give as an input to that Tally software? That information or for that particular transaction, till that they are going to generate the report and they are going to give you all these financial reports. So next point, Tally software is a versatile accounting and financial management tool. So if for example, I already explained you the GST concept, branches of accounting, income tax and financial accounting. So in the branches of accounting, we have 6 types of accounting, correct? So all these 6 types of accounting that will be managed in the Tally software. So all types of accounting, financial management or tax, GST, everything we are going to maintain in the one platform, that is Tally, correct? So that is the reason it is a versatile accounting and financial management tool. And so widely they are going to use all the businesses for individual to streamline their financial operations. So financial operations is nothing but the day-to-day operation activities or financial transaction they are going to made in their organization or their business or for their personal activities also. The primary purpose of Tally is to assist the efficient recording, management and analysis of financial data. So in the accounting also, we have saw the definition of accounting as per the AICPA, correct? So here also they are given that Tally is going to do efficiently recording, that is your bookkeeping. Next, management. Management is nothing but, so whatever the classification of books of accounts or transaction into 5 categories, correct? So that they are going to manage. Analysis. Analysis in the sense, so it's going to analyze all the books of accounts and it is going to interpret the data also, and it will give the proper accurate report. That is analysis of the financial data, and then it's going to give the accurate report to that whatever the users are there. So is both accurate and convenient to use even if you are not well versed with the accounting. So because of this reason only, I've just explained the basic concepts of accounting, because if you are going to analyze or if you want to go through with that financial reports given by the Tally software, we need to know some knowledge or basic knowledge about the Tally and the basic knowledge about all this accounting and the financial management. If you have the knowledge, then only you will get to know what is this assets, what is this liability, and why it is in the left side, why it is recorded in the right side, why it is lagging, all these things. Okay, if it is given the report also, you need to know about the basic concepts, then you can easily understand the financial reports of an organization, or you can interpret in your own way. So that is the reason all the basic concepts are required for Tally. Next, the features of Tally or the characteristics of Tally software. So first one, accounting. So this is the major feature of Tally. So earlier days, if you remember or if you saw, okay, so the organization, they are going to maintain the big ledger books, correct? So it's like 200 pages or 500 pages of ledgers book they are going to maintain to record the transaction and prepare the books of accounts. They are going to carry or they are going to maintain that ledger books. But nowadays, no companies are maintaining these ledger books. Why? Because everything they are going to do computerized or digitalized transaction they are going to do, correct? So that is the reason they are not maintaining that old, that is paper version of accounts. So this Tally is also, it is well versed or well equipped with this accounting tools or accounting standards, accounting procedure or all the financial reports. So that is the reason it is the foremost and major feature of Tally accounting. Okay. So next, billing and invoicing. Before this transaction recording also I have told, that is bookkeeping. So all the transaction, it may be monies or money's worth, that needs to be supported by the collateral or supported by the evidence or the documents, correct? So this is the billing and invoicing. So if you are not going to provide the proper billing or proper invoice or proper document to the Tally for each and every transaction, that will be rejected by the Tally software, it seems. So, and if you are going to sold goods, for that it will generate the invoice, or you can manually also give the input and we can generate the invoice from the Tally software. So that is the reason. So this is also one of the major feature in the Tally. So next, inventory management. So inventory management is the most difficult and crucial role in the organization. Why? Because the economic order or economic reorder quantity. So the standard threshold limit will be there. If that goods or if the stock is going to come to that level, they need to order or they need to reorder the raw materials or whatever the ancillary services. What is the work in progress? What is the turnover period? And as per the FIFO method, they are maintaining the inventory in the organization, or LIFO method they are following in the organization. So FIFO is nothing but first in, first out. LIFO is nothing but last in, first out. So if the goods is coming first, that goods should be go out first. In the LIFO method, last goods we are going to purchase, that should be go first out. So if you are maintaining the books of accounts in that manner or not. So all those things are very crucial in the organization maintaining this inventory management. So Here in the Tally software only, it's going to take care about all this inventory management also. Next, the GST compliance. I already discussed about the GST, that is input tax credit, GST rates, or reverse mechanism or reverse charge mechanism, all those things, correct? So here, if you have any issues or if it is have any like problem or if it is any error in the GST, that will be shown this is error. And what is required for that, that will also give some suggestion. According to that, we need to check and we need to update the whatever the GST complaints were there in the Tally software. Next, multi-currency support. So you can maintain your books of accounts in the whatever the currencies are there. Like for example, in Indian rupees also you can maintain your books of accounts, or in the dollar, or in the euros, or in whatever is required, or for which country you need to produce your balance sheet or financial report. So for that particular company, you can convert that currency and you can show the reports also. So multi-currency support will be there in the Tally. Next, the bank reconciliation, like crucial account we are going to maintain. Bank reconciliation statement. So if for example some check bounces happen, or we are going to submit the check today, but it is not going to get the amount today within 24 hours. By next day we are going to credit that amount. Then what is the cross entry you are going to do for the bank reconciliation statement? All those things will be done by the Tally only. So next, financial reports. So the accurate financial reports as per your inputs, it's going to generate and it's going to give it to the whatever the ultimate end users are there. So for that, they are going to give these financial reports. Next, the TDS and TCS. So I already given the example of you are going to cut the TDS from your employee salary because that is the source you are going to pay for the employees. So from that, how much TDS you are going to make and how much tax collecting you are going to collect it from the source. All those complaints will be there, or any refund issues will be there. On that time, through this Tally software, you can easily generate that report for that particular person or for that particular transaction, and you can show this is the amount we have deducted and it is remitted to the government, or this is the source we have collected. All those things will be there in the software. Next, payroll management. So payroll management is nothing but the amount you are going to pay. That is your compensation for your employees or for the management or for the matrix member or to the wages you are going to pay for a laborer. All those things, payroll, payment related things will be managed by the Tally only. Next, the backup and restore. So whatever the financial data are there, it will be have the stored, or it will be in the backup they are going to restore, and we can get the old reports also. That is also possible through the Tally software. So next, data security. So if you are entered the data or whatever the input you are going to give the Tally, okay, it's not going to disclose to the others. Only whoever is there the support or whatever the IT support we have required for the Tally software, for them only you can get the data. Otherwise, they are not going to disclose your organizational data or personal data to the third party. You are the only one person you are going to use the Tally software. You will know what is the data are required or what is the reports you require. That will give it to you only, not for any other purpose. So the data will be safe and secure. So audit and compliance features. So whatever the auditing we need to do, like for example in manual thing, internal audit team will go into audit, and then chartered accountant will come. The audit team, they are going to check and analyze the all the reports. But here it is like audit free. If you are make any error in giving the inputs, then only it will give the wrong or the false statement or reports, correct? But if you are given the proper input, then you are going to get the accurate financial reports. So then it no need of going for this audit reports also. That is your internal audit. And whatever the complaints is there, that is also complaints free. And we have remote access also. So nowadays we have Tally software with the mobile app also. So if you are using Tally software in the organization, so you can use in the mobile also. So whatever the requirement are there, or if you are required or if you are needed some any information, on that time you can just go and you can use the mobile app also for the getting the whatever the data from the Tally software about your organization or for your personal things. Next, we will discuss about the purpose of Tally software. What is the main objective of this Tally software? And why we are going to use this Tally software, and what are the objectives or the purpose of this Tally software. Okay, so first one is financial record keeping. So what the purpose or what is the major purpose we are using this tally is recording our financial transaction, correct? So whatever the financial recording or financial records are there, that we need to maintain in the tally software. So earlier, you will maintain all the books of accounts or all the ledger accounts, everything in the manual way, correct? But now using this tally software, because we need to record all the transaction or all the financial records in a systematic manner. So as per AICP also we discussed, right? What is the definition of accounting? So it is a systematic or art of recording all the transaction, analyzing, classifying, summarizing and interpreting the results, correct? So on that way, we need to record all the transaction or all the financial records in one manner or as per the standards. So that is the financial record keeping. That is the main purpose of using this tally software. Second one, the double entry of accounting, or we also call it as double entry system of bookkeeping. What do you mean by this double entry system of bookkeeping or double entry accounting? So it is nothing but for each and every transaction, we have two side effect. Either it may be a debit and credit, or it may be a debit and debit, or it may be a credit and credit, or it may be a credit and debit. So two side effect should be there. If any one transaction, if you are going to take, that should be reflect in two times. So just an example, purchase of plant and machinery and paid in the form of cash 50,000. So here, which are the two side effect? First one is the plant and machinery. Asset is going to comes to the business. That is one side effect, correct? So other side, if plant and machinery comes, something needs to go out, correct? Because we are purchasing the plant and machinery and we need to pay it either cash or through bank or whatever the forms, correct? We need to pay. So cash is going out. So 50,000 value of plant and machinery comes to the business. That is one side. And the other side, the cash is going out. So these are the two side effect. So this is just an example for double entry of accounting or double entry system of bookkeeping. So next one, financial reporting. So in this financial reporting, we have all the other accounts we are going to maintain. That is your profit and loss account, trial balance, or your income statement, like balance sheet, correct? The assets and liabilities. That all those things we are going to record in the financial statements. So as per the standards and what is the, like for example, depreciation. What is the depreciation we are going to charge as per the Companies Act for professional books or for intangible assets or for tangible assets. In that also we have subcategories. So all those things as per the standard, how much we are going to charge the depreciation and what is the provisional for taxation we are going to record. Everything that input should be given to the tally software. Then we can go for this using the financial reporting. Next, the inventory management. So this inventory management is also very, very important because the manufacturing units or manufacturing companies, they're struggling like anything to maintain this inventories. Because so many raw material will come, ancillary service products will come, and work in progress will be there, semi-finished goods, finished goods, all those things will be there, correct? So on that time, maintaining the accurate balance or accurate information of the inventory management, that is very, very challenging in the organization. So here in the tally software also, they are going to give the accurate information, whatever the inputs you are going to give. So based on that, it will give the appropriate account balance of the inventory. And in inventory also, we have different methods. So few companies will use FIFO method, that is first in, first out method. Or some companies use LIFO method, that is last in, first out. So as per the FIFO or LIFO, which one they are going to follow. So as per that, they need to record all the transaction. And the order quantity also. If for example, if they have the minimum order or minimum raw material stock with them, so in which time they need to order the supply or they need to order with the supplier. Okay, so that is also very, very important. All those things will be taken care by the tally software. Next, the GST and tax complaints. So the GST, I already explained you about GST, correct? So goods and service tax, in that we have three categories, that is CGST, SGST and IGST. So as per this, okay, so which is the SGS percentage or CGST percentage or IGST percentage, and what is the input tax credit? And we have different rates of GST also, correct? So 0% is there, 5%, 8%, 18% and 28%. So which category of products or which goods is fall under the which rate? So all those things are very, very important while you are giving the input to the Tally software. Next, the customization. So you can do the customization or whatever the changes is required as per the management or to the metrics member. Okay, so we can do the or we can enable the features and we can do the customization of Tally software also. That is also possible. And the last one, the multi-company support. So you are the only company using the Tally? No, right? So many other companies, whether it may be a partnership, joint stock company, HUF, so many small companies also they are using the Tally software. So it is going to give the multi-support for all the companies. Okay, so if for example your competitor is X company, Y company, Z, they are the competitor, but they are also using the Tally software, and there is no need to worry about the whatever the privacy or the data security. Okay, that Tally software, whatever you are going to maintain in your organization, that data will not be disclosed to any other companies or any other third parties or outside of your company. Okay, they can't get the information of your company's information. So the next is, what are the difference between all Tally versions? So we have various Tally version, correct? So once they given or once they update, the version is going to change, correct? So for example, take an example of your mobile phones. So once you purchase, okay, the version is different one. So once they given updates for your mobile or softwares, then what you need to do? You need to update. Correct. So on that time, what will happen? So the new feature, whatever they are going to add to your mobile phones, that will be enabled. Correct. Like that also, here also they are going to do the changes as per the whatever the accounting standards will change, or the GST will change, or like for example, whatever the percentages, that is your depreciation percentage will vary, or the books of accounts you are going to maintain. If they given any other changes, then as per that they need to do the changes, correct? Or they need to update the versions also or the software also, correct? So earlier we have only sales tax, value added tax, excise duty, but after that they implemented GST after 2017, correct? So after 2017, then they need to do the changes in the software also. Whatever the Tally software you are using, for that they need to give that whatever the advanced features or advanced technology is changing. As per that they need to do the changes in their software also. First, they have introduced Tally 4.5 version. So in that, the Tally version or Tally software, they are going to do only so based on the whatever the account with the inventory. So especially for, I already told you, so inventory management, maintaining in the organization or managing in the organization is very, very crucial, correct? So first they have started with the Tally version for 4.5 is for account with the inventories. So whatever the inventory accounts that we are going to see in the coming slide also. Okay, I will explain you one by one. So that they have started. Second, they have done or they have updated Tally 5.4. So window based account with inventory. So window based is nothing but the individually we are going to use the word tabs in Excel, correct? So like that the windows or the tabs, separate tabs for each and every accounts. If you heard the word previously also, F7, F6, F5. So the functional keys is arrow for the 11 accounts. Okay, it will be linked with that number. Okay, like that they have done the window based account with the inventories. Next, Tally 6.3. So in this version with online finalization auditing. So if for example, earlier two cases are there, correct? That is 4.5 and 5.4. So on that case, the offline auditor should becomes or the internal audit team or the account manager, they need to finalize all the books of accounts because they need to verify whether all the transactions are recorded or not as per our company standards. Okay, or as per whatever the requirement they have. So according to that, it is there or not. They need to check and they need to finalize, correct? They need to verify. So in this 6.3 version, they have given online finalization of the auditing process. That is the one feature they have added for this 6.3. They have added few more, but this is the major feature they have done or changes they have done in this 6.3 version. Next, the Tally 7.0. So it is given the feature of import and export feature. If for example, if you have the PDF data, or take an example of Excel data you have. So from Excel, we can import or not. Or if whatever the data is there, we can export to the PDF or export to the Excel or any other docs, correct? Like that feature is there or not earlier. So in the new one, that is in the 7.0 version, they have done they have added the new feature called import and export features. That is the updation they have done for the Tally 7.0. Next, Tally 7.2. So in this 7.2 version, they have added the VAT, that is value added tax, TDS, that is tax deducted at source, and the excise duty. Because whatever the changes they have done, or whatever the rate of interest is there for VAT, TDS and excise duty on the goods and services. Okay, so for that they have updated this Tally 7.2 with the VAT, TDS and excise duty. This is very, very important for 7.2 version. So after that, few days or few years, I think so, we have started using the GST also. Then they need to update it to the whatever the GST is there as per the format or as per the standard. They need to do the changes or they need to replace the software. Next, Tally 8.1 with FBT and excise duty. So FBT stand for fringe benefits and taxation or the tax. So why they have introduced this FBT in the Tally 8.1 version is, in the earlier version, that is in the 7.2 version, they have added VAT, TDS and excise duty, correct? So while paying the salary for their employees, this FBT is very, very important. That is your fringe benefits and whatever the tax they need to deduct, all those things, correct? They need to calculate, and according to that they need to deduct the TDS also, correct? So that is the reason they have introduced the FBT and the excise duty. Next, Tally 9.0. So in this 8.1 version, whatever is there with the payroll system, multi-language extra formality features they have enabled for the Tally 9.0 version. So already they have introduced the FBT, but in the Tally 9, they have introduced whatever the payroll system they have introduced. For that, they have given multi-language extra formalities or formality feature they have enabled in the 9.0 version. And finally, whatever the latest one, that is your Tally ERP 9.0. So ERP stand for Enterprise Resource Planning. So in the organization, whatever the resources they are going to use, so for that they need to do some planning also, or they need to coordinate, correct? Organize, coordinating. So for that they have done so many changes and updated the Tally ERP 9.0 version. Tally ERP 9 with remote access facility. Okay, so because in the pandemic situation, so many organization, not so many, almost all the organization, they have done the remote access, correct? So on that time, this Tally also introduced this remote access for all the employees or whoever using or whoever the authority of using the Tally in the organization, they are given this remote access facilities also, and multi-budgets and scenarios and the etc. So multi-budget is nothing but the organization. We have different kinds of budgets. I think so you know the meaning of budget, correct? So budget is nothing but it is an estimation of inflow and outflow of the cash in the organization. So in that also we have different kinds of budget. Varieties of budget types are there, correct? So according to that, the organization, whichever is required. So that is the multi-budgets, and the budget in the sense, the volume of the net worth or whatever the net worth of the organization, that is also they have included, and the scenarios, few scenarios also they have included in the ERP 9.0 version. Next is the advantages of Tally ERP 9. So in this Tally ERP 9, the first feature or the first advantages of this Tally ERP 9 is remote access. Because in the pandemic situation, or now also in the current situation also, so many companies are allowed or enabled this work from home options, correct? So in that scenario, that companies, whatever the work from home employees are there, or the matrix member or the management team or the managers, they require this access to the Tally, correct? So the Tally ERP 9 have the remote access for whoever authorities are there to enable or to use the Tally ERP 9 in the organization. Next, Tally.net. So this is also one more advantage. So whatever the information or whatever the bookkeeping, recording, transactions are there, that we can easily use in the Tally .NET feature. So next, simplified installation features. So easily you can go and install the Tally ERP 9. It is very easy steps you can easily follow as per the whatever it is going to display on the screen. Okay, download, installation, whatever the features, enable, disable, all those things. Okay, it is very easy to installation also. And next, control centers. Control center is nothing but, for example, the service centers. So if anything you are facing issue with the Tally software, or if something needs to be changes, or some you need to do as a customized version for your organization. So all those things will be enabled through these control centers. If you are not getting the proper way to do that, then you can inform the control center. Then enhanced look and feel. So that is the surface or the interface of the system. Okay, it looks very comfortable and you can easily feel that we can use or we can do the whatever is required for the Tally software or for the organization with the Tally software. Next, enhanced payroll complaints. So if you are going to calculate the salary of each employees, then what will happen? So someone is present on that day, someone is absent, leave, or LOP, all those things will be there. So manual calculation will be very difficult and it takes time also. And we are going to receive complaints also. This is not correct, this is not correct, I need to receive this much of amount, but I have received only this much. So that complaints will arise. But in the Tally, there is no issue of payroll, whatever the complaints are there, because the computerized entries will be there. According to that will calculate and it will give the whatever the salary for that particular employee. Next, exercise for manufacturers. So I have told so many times, inventory management, managing the inventory in the organization, it is very crucial part in the organization. So the manufacturing sector, okay, if they're using this Tally ERP 9 software, so they can reduce easily whatever the time they're spending on maintaining the inventory management in the organization, that can be reduced. Okay. Next, auditors edition of Tally ERP 9. So whatever the auditors, they are going to check and they are going to verify, and then they will give the financial reports, right? Like that here also in the ERP 9 version. So they are going to do the whatever the auditors or how the auditors are required, like that it will prepare and it will generate the reports. And the last one, enhanced tax deducted at source, because from the each employee based on their salary and whatever they have the like tax planning or whatever the standard deductions or whatever the deduction they have made, based on that they are going to calculate and they are going to cut the tax deducted at source from all the employee salary. It is also in like one way, it is a provision for taxation of that particular employee. So it will be maintained in the Tally software only. Okay, so these are the few advantages of Tally ERP 9. Next, we are going to discuss the very important one, that is what are the steps for installation and set up the Tally ERP 9 in our system. Okay, as an individual, if we want to use Tally ERP 9, in the initial only I have told this Tally we can use it for the business purpose or for our personal purpose also. So managing the funds in the organization or managing the funds internally, that is personal fund. For that also we can use this Tally ERP 9, correct? So first one, before you install the Tally software, okay, first you need to check the what are the system requirements are there. You go and visit the Tally website. Okay, so in the Tally website they are going to give the what are the requirements are there, your system requirement, whether it may be what are the ROM size is required or whatever the consumption of GB capacity for downloading and installation of the Tally software in your system, all those things. Okay, whatever the requirements are there, that they are going to mention in their website. So before downloading only, it will give all these cautions. Okay, so first you need to check the what are the system requirements, that is that software will be supported to this laptop or not, or for this particular system or not. That is very important, correct? So you need to check all these things. Then you can go in their website only, they are going to give or they are going to show the tab called download. Okay, so there you can get the Tally ERP 9, the download version. Okay, just click on that download symbol, then it will be take time and it will be downloaded in your system. Next, so as per the whatever the instruction, you can go in your laptop, check the whatever the Tally ERP9 software, click on that, then it will give the whatever the ways or the roadmap. So first finish or finalize the whatever the version is there and then install. Lastly, it will update in your system. That is the whatever the install the software. Okay, so just you need to look at the whatever the system requirement and where you can get the or download a version in the Tally ERP9 and install procedures or process of installing, that you can do this one. Okay, these are the 3 steps. Next, the setting up of Tally. So first one, start Tally. So in that, wherever it is downloaded, just click on that. It will start the start Tally or welcome to the Tally software. That will give the whatever the welcome tabs. Okay, then whatever once it is completely installed and it is opened, so first you need to do is activate your license. That is as per the ERP9, okay, or Tally ERP9, they are going to ask the subscription also, correct? You need to pay the subscription and then you can get the licensed version. You can get the free version also. It is only for trial purpose, okay, not for the regular use. So if you want the Tally software for the regular use or for your organizational needs, then you need to activate your license. That is Tally ERP9 software license you need to enable or activate. Then you can go for using the Tally in your organization or for your system. Next, create a company. So you need to create the company in your Tally software. For this also, what are the steps involved in the creating the company in Tally? That is also there in the coming slide. I will explain. And what are the criterias or whatever the supporting documents it will ask for the creating a company in the Tally software. All those things will be explained in the coming slides also. Next, the enable features. So in the Tally ERP9, for example, like 10 to 15 features are there in the Tally ERP9, which is required to enable for your organization. You need to select that one. If some features are not required for your organization, on that time, no need to enable. If it is enabled also, you need to disable that feature. Why? Because if it is required for your organization, then only you need to enable that feature. Otherwise, it is waste of using that features or that will give some other data only. For example, yours is the manufacturing sector, and if especially they have done the feature for service sectors. So if you enable that feature, it will be like manufacturing as well as service sector. Both the features will be available in the Tally. So on that time, unnecessary confusions will be there. Okay, so that is the reason whatever is required for your organization, just enable that software or feature in that software. Otherwise, don't enable it. Next, configure your chart of accounts. So chart of accounts is nothing but what is the flow of accounts you need to maintain in the organization. For example, first journal entry, ledger account, after ledger account, trial balance. From the trial balance, you need to prepare P&L account or income statement. From the income statement, you are going to prepare the financial statement. That is your balance sheet. Okay, in that also balance sheet horizontal format is there, vertical format is there. So as per the what is required for the organization, first you need to configure that kind of charts of accounts only. Next, enter opening balances. So once you enabled or once you select the which chart of accounts you required, you need to enter, that is manually we need to do the enter the opening balances of each account, because first time you are using the Tally in your company name, correct? So on that time, you need to give the input as a opening balances. If for example, capital. So 5 lakh rupees is the own capital and 10 lakh rupees is the equity share capital, 5,000 rupees of preference share capital, like that. You need to give all the opening balances for individual accounts. Next, start recording the transaction. So whatever the day-to-day activities or day-to-day transaction you are going to make in your organization, that needs to be recorded in the Tally. Why? Because if you are going to record manually, like as an input you need to give for the Tally software, then only it will generate the whatever the final reports or financial reports for the organization. So you need to give all the inputs. Next, set up security and user access control. In the earlier also I told whoever is required or whoever is the authorized persons to use the Tally software of your organization. So you can give the access control. Only for this ID. They can use the Tally software. Otherwise, they cannot open or they cannot use the Tally software, because whatever the data you are going to maintain in the organization's data or company's data or the net worth, balance sheet, all those things will be there in this Tally software, correct? So that is the reason you need to give the access. Only for that person, they can enable the whatever editing or giving the input, all these options. Otherwise, there would not be given any access to the any other person. Next, data backup. So whatever the data is there in the software or you are given as an input for that software, that should be done as a backup also. So if something happens or system crashes happened or any other chances of destroying the data, so on that time also you can easily get that, or we can do the restore of that data. So that is called the data backup should be there for the Tally software also. Next, explore Tally documentation and support. So whatever the documentation is required for Tally, okay, you need to check that, and as per that, whatever the documents or whatever the evidence, supporting documents, everything you need to give for the Tally software also. So this is the setting up of Tally in the laptops or your system for the organizational use or to your personal use also. Next, we will see, so what are the enable or disabling of Tally features. So earlier also in the before slide I would explained about, so what are the additional features they are going to give. So if you want that feature or not, okay. So for that also, before installation, you need to click on the whatever is required for your organization, that is enabled or it may be disabled. That is very, very important. So I'm adding few screenshots for your reference here. Okay. So in the Tally software also it is visible that enabling or disabling of Tally features, that is accounting features. So especially this is required for only accounting purpose, not for any other things it will ask. So I've already explained you, right? So whatever the company name you are going to create, so whatever the supporting documents or whatever the information it is going to ask, once it is given the company name, see here we have given that dummy name, that is ABC company. So we can give the actual company name, whatever the company is there, correct? So as per like whatever the XYZ Private Limited or X and Y Brothers and Company or HUF Limited, whatever it may be, like that, the original name only you can give here. That will enable and it will be shown in the top of the organizational, whatever the Tally software interface is there. Next, so here we are looking at the accounting features. So we need to do the enabling or disabling in the accounting features. So in the first one, that is general, integrate accounts and inventory. So if you are going to club the inventory with the accounts or books of accounts with the inventory management or inventory accounts, that is, if you want that feature, just click on yes. Otherwise, it should be no. Then, so income or expenses statement instead of P&L account. So if the organization is maintaining the income statement or it is maintaining the profit and loss account, so it is given the option. So if you want the income and expenses account, or it may require the profit and loss account. So if you require income statement, then it is no. If you are not required the P&L account, then you need to give us yes. Next, allow multi-currencies. So if your organization, it's going to run its business only in India, so there is no need of going for this multi-currencies. If for example, that company is there in India, but the branches are there all over the world. Okay, on that time, this multi-currencies option or the feature is required. So you need to click on yes. And for each individual feature enabling, it will confirmation or it will ask for confirmation, yes or no. That is whatever the changes you have made, that needs to be enabled or not, or accept or reject. Okay, that feature is also there. And outstanding management. Next, cost profit control or cost profit centers management. So whatever the cost controlling needs to there in the organization, that also individual they are going to give. So for individual features, you need to enable or disable the feature as per your requirement. Next, invoicing. So each and every transaction or the recording of each and every transaction that should be supported by the document or by the bills or by the evidence, correct? So for creating this invoice also, whether it may be a e-invoice or manual receipts, everything. So for that also you have so many features that needs to be enabled or disabled for the organization. So first one is allow invoicing. So you need to allow or you need to disable, correct? So for that we need to give yes, because for all the transaction needs to be supported by the document or from the whatever the invoices are there. So yes, like that individual thing we need to give the special features or required or not. Next, the budget and scenario management. So in that, maintain budgets and controls. No. If you required, you can click on yes. Like that, banking features. So enable check printing. If you look at the whatever the current account checks, the company names also there in the check, correct? So that required or not. And other features, allow zero valued entries, all those things. If you required or not. If you required, then you can click on yes or you can click on no. Next, here they are going to give the functional keys arrow buttons. So F1 is accounts. F2 is your inventory things. F3, if you click on F3, it will take to the statutory, that is the legal mandatory requirements. Next, F4, that is tally.net. F5, it is audit. F6, it is add-ons. So if you require any other features also, you can enable here. Next, enabling or disabling of tally features, that is statutory and taxation. So this is also very, very important for giving the inputs, because all the legal requirements, whether it may be a cutting the TDS from the salary of an employee, professional tax from the employee, whatever it may be, correct? So that is very, very important. So company is same, ABC company. Here the feature for that is the tab name, statutory and taxation. So enable dealers, that is excise, set alter or dealer excise details, that is if you required yes, because enabling the whatever is the excise duty. Okay, if for example I'm going to purchase some raw material from the other suppliers or from the other party, then this excise, it's very, very important. We need to give input of their information. So follow the excise rules of invoicing, yes or no, or enable value added tax, that is your VAT, yes or no, or enable service tax, all these things, and enable tax deducted at source, that is TDS, that should be enabled. Okay, set or alter the TDS details, yes, because whatever the as per the legal requirement, if it is something is changed, then we need to do the changes. Enable tax collected at source, TCS, we are going to collect the source, right? So for that also enable features, or I already told you FBT, that is fringe benefit tax. Okay, enable the fringe benefit tax, or set or alter the changes, that is also needs to be enabled. So tax information, that is VAT TIN number, and now it will ask GST number also, correct? So that tax identification number you need to give, and whatever the interstate sales tax number or PAN or income tax number, all these things you need to give in these details. Then it should be all the enabled features will be shown here. Next, we will discuss about the creating a company in a Tally software. So already I have explained you. So what are the things we need to create initially once you install the Tally software in your system, correct? So here we will see what are the required documents or required names or whatever the TIN number or whatever the verification details is required. Okay, that we will discuss. So first, once you launch the Tally in your system, okay, next you can go and activate the whatever the select or the appropriate license, that is the we need to activate the license version, correct? So then you can go for creating a new company, because you need to run the Tally software with the name, that is either it may be our personal one or the organizational one. So personal also you can give your personal details, for your organization give the whatever required for the organizational details. So configure company information. So once you go for configure, so first thing it will ask name, what is the name of your organization, that name thing you need to enable first, that is whatever the company name is there, you need to give the proper name as per the registration. Okay, next mailing name, so whatever the mails, okay, or the replay or the response from your organization, it will go out for the others. That mailing name should be there. Then address, the complete address of your organizational, that is the head office. That information you need to provide. Next, the financial year. So financial year, so if your organization, you are going to maintain the financial year like 1st of January to 31st of December or 1st of April to 31st March of the next year. The financial year you need to inform or you need to mention in this tally. Next, the books beginning from, that is as it is what I have told about the financial year. Okay, like in the books also. So the books also start from the 1st of April of this year and ends on the 31st March for the next year, correct? So that also you need to specifically mention which is the starting period of your books and ending period of your books of accounts. Next, the maintain. That is, maintain is nothing but you need to day-to-day wise or regularly you need to check and update the whatever is required for the organizational thing. Like for example, I have already told you there are two methods of bookkeeping are there. That is, first one, on the basis of cash basis we are going to maintain, or accrual basis also we are going to maintain. So which one your company prefer to, okay, that you need to inform. Next, use security control. So for just take an example of Gmail. It will take like 2 steps of verification, correct? Whether it may be send the OTP to your registered mobile number or it will blink in your mobile, whether you are the person is using that Gmail or not. That you need to confirm yes or no, correct? Like that, the security controls also you need to enable and you need to give the informations. Lastly, you need to save and create the company. So in the last also I have explained you, right? In that it is ABC company. It is visible on the head of the interface, correct? Like that, whatever the name is given after creating the name of the company and giving all these details, then you need to save that, okay, whatever you have added, then it will display it on the interface of the Tally software. Next, in that after creating the company, okay, next it will ask company information menu will be opened or it may be enabled, okay. So after that, in that enabled feature or in that company tab, the right of the gateway of Tally area displays the company information. So right side of the display, okay, the display, that is your system display, will be divided into 2 parts, that is left side and right side. So in that right side, that will display all the company information, okay. So this menu has following 3 options. In that right side, you have select company, create company and quit. Select company is nothing but we can select few other, like if for example, take an example of Tata. They have the name of Tata, that is the brand name or the company name. Under that we have so many sub units or strategic business units are there, correct? So that units you can create. Then if you want to quit also, you can go and click on the quit symbol. So it will quit the whatever the display tab is there. So just I will show you the whatever the reference screenshot I have added, that I will show you. So this is the interface, that is Tally interface looks like, and in this whatever the company you have given the information, that will be displayed below this. And then so the right side, that is the company information, select a company, create a company and quit. So what is required for you people, if you want to select a company you can select, or if you want to create few other strategic business units you can create, or you can go for quit. So if you click on quit, it will exit from this tab. So and then whatever the companies you are going to create, not only your company or not only your strategic business units, you need to create other companies also as a vendors, because you are going to purchase raw material from X Limited, you are going to sell the goods to Y Limited or for Y person, or whatever ancillary service products you are going to purchase from ABC company. All these things companies are required, correct? So you need to create all this company information and it will be enabled or it will be displayed here in the left side of the system. See here, it will show all the details, whatever is there, F1, select the company and whatever is required. Here also list of the selected companies that will comes here, and date of last entry, what is the last entry you have made for that particular company, that is also displays once you enter the details. Next, after creating, okay, So it will show like directory, who is the directory or name, okay, mailing details and the address of that, or company details, that is currencies they are going to maintain in rupees, that is symbol rupees, or if you are maintaining in dollars or yen or pound, that will appear here. And the financial year, that is 1/4, whatever the starting date, and the whatever is the books of beginning, that is when you are going to start using the books in your tally. Then maintain accounts with inventory. So whatever you are going to maintain in the books of accounts, that also you can specify here. State, pin code, telephone number, mobile number, email number, all this information will be displayed. This is the overall information you have given as an input for creating your company. So see here also they are given currency information, that is base currency symbol, that is formal name Indian rupee, number of decimal prices to, like that, all the information you need to click or you need to give as a input here. Then only your company information or company accounts will create in the Tally software. So this is the how the company creation in the Tally it will looks like. Once it is saved, then it will be saved automatically and it will display the company name. This is the company details interface you can see. Next we will look at the different types of vouchers and how to create in the Tally ERP 9. Okay, so first is purchase order. Okay, you need to create all these vouchers, okay, in your Tally software, because the purchase order, once you order the how many quantities are required and from which supplier and what is the rate you have decided, that is pre-decided rate will be there, or whatever the market value is there. So all those things is required, correct? So you need to first give the purchase order. So you need to create this voucher also. Next you have purchase voucher. So once you send the order, okay, they are going to send the goods, correct? So that needs to be called as a purchase voucher. So ordering is different, purchasing voucher is different, correct? You need to get the purchase voucher. So you need to create in the Tally 9 or Tally ERP software purchase voucher. So next point, rejection out. So once you purchased, for example, I have ordered 100 units of whatever the raw materials from the XYZ Limited. So once the XYZ Limited sends the goods, so during the loading or during the unloading or during the transportation, 3 units are damaged. So that needs to be sent back to the XYZ Limited and we need to replace the whatever is the actual one. That is the fresh raw material or 3 units of fresh raw material we need to get from the XYZ Limited, correct? So for that we need to enter the rejection voucher also. Next, the payment voucher. Once they have also sent that 3 units, then what you need to do? So you need to give the payment to that XYZ Limited. Whatever the number of days of credit they are going to allow, whether it may be a 30 days, 45 days or 15 days. After that you need to pay, right? So for that you need to enter the or you need to create the payment voucher also. Next, the debit note. So this debit note is include of your how many number of products you have purchased, how many was recent, that is for the damage purpose. If you are returned, then at what date you need to repay that money for the vendor. If for example XYZ given 15 days of credit repayment period, so after 15 days we need to pay the money for XYZ, correct? So on that time this debit note will give the information of how much we need to repay and which date we need to repay, all this information. Next, sale order. So whatever the procedure we have done for purchasing, like that same or similar thing we need to maintain for our sale also. So sale order is nothing but some other person or our buyers, okay, they are going to quote the estimation. I require 10 units of XYZ company products or your company products at this date and this whatever the amount. So that sale order they need to maintain in a separate voucher. Next, sales voucher. So once it is ready, they need to create the sales voucher. Then rejection in. So how we are going to send the damaged goods to our vendor? We are going to return, right? Like that only we will also receive the return from our buyers because it is damaged or something has happened for that product. So they are going to return. That we are going to maintain in the reject in or rejection in. Next, the receipt of voucher. So how many days we are going to allow for that person, whoever is the buyer. So we call it as a debtor, correct? So for that debtor, how many days we have allowed to repay that money. So all those things information we are going to mention in the receipt voucher. Next, credit note. In the credit note as well as debit note. Like in the debit note, we are going to maintain our creditors information. In the credit note, we are going to mention our debtors, that is our buyers information, how many days is the allowed period for repayment of the money, all those things information. Next, the contra voucher. So contra is nothing but, so we need to close. For example, XYZ sends 100 products. In 100 product also we are going to reject. Why? Because for whatever the expectations, like whatever the features or whatever the quality, quantity, because of that we are going to reject that order. On that time we need to pass the contra vouchers also. Next, the journal voucher. Journal voucher is nothing but the journal entry. We are going to pass the journal entries, right? Like that we need to pass the journal voucher here. Manufacturing. So once we receive all this raw material, what we need to do? That raw material we need to send it as an input and we need to get the output from our manufacturing unit, correct? So manufacturing voucher we need to generate. Next, stock transfer. Once it is produced, final product, we need to transfer stocks to the, either it may be a stores or to the buyers. That all these vouchers, okay, all these varieties of vouchers you need to maintain in the Tally software. So because of this only I told you the inventory management in any organization, maintaining or managing inventory in the organization is the very crucial role in the organization. So all these vouchers are necessarily you need to maintain, then only you will get the accurate report or accurate financial reports in the organization.